Today we are going to multiply a whole number by a fraction using an array. And I put here just a quick example of an array using some apples, but I'm sure you all know that an array can use any type of object that you desire. So before we get into this work, I just want to quickly review how to interpret a fraction. So here we have the fraction 3/4. And our denominator, which is 4, is how many equal parts is the whole divided into. So we see that this pizza pie is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, which is why we have a 4 as a denominator. Then the numerator is how many equal parts do you have. So according to this picture, we have 3 pizza pie parts that we have. So that is represented by the 3, giving us the fraction of 3/4. Now we're going to move on and read a word problem using a protocol called the 3-read protocol. And this protocol is just that. We're going to read the problem 3 times in an attempt to gain a better understanding of the problem so that you can be more successful when solving the problem. Now the first read that I'm going to do is just going to be me reading to you. I need everyone to just pay attention and listen to the information that I am reading to you. I am only going to concentrate on the stem of the problem and not so much the last part, which is the question. So you ready? Mr. Peterson bought a case, 24 boxes of fruit juice. 1/3 of the drinks were grape and 2/3 were cranberry. Okay. Just let that soak in your minds. And now what I want you to do is I want you to turn to your partner and discuss with them, what did you just hear? Okay, so now it's time for the second read. Now, with the second read, we are going to read it all together. We're going to do something called a choral read. So we're going to read it together. Are you ready? Let's go. Mr. Peterson bought a case, 24 boxes of fruit juice. I can't hear you. 1/3 of the drinks were grape and 2/3 were cranberry. Okay. Now after we've just read this problem the second time chorally, I want you to turn to your partner and discuss the quantities, the amounts that you heard in this problem. Now we are going to read the problem one last time. And we're going to do it all together again. We're going to do a choral read. Are you ready? Mr. Peterson bought a case, 24 boxes of fruit juice. 1/3 of the drinks were grape and 2/3 were cranberry. So now I just want to give you an opportunity to share if you have any questions about this problem. Okay, so let's start looking at this problem. So when we look at the quantities that are represented in this problem, we see that Mr. Peterson bought a case, 24 boxes of fruit juice. So since we are going to use an array method, I'm going to put up an array of 24 boxes of fruit juice. Now, I know they're boxes. However, my array will have circles because circles are quicker to draw than boxes. So here is my array of 24 boxes of fruit juice. Now the next quantity in the problem is 1/3. So we have to think about, what does that mean? What does 1/3 mean in regards to this 24 boxes of fruit juice? 1/3 of the drinks were grape. So 1/3 of the drinks were grape. So I have 24 juice boxes here. How am I going to determine what 1/3 of this entire group is equal to? So I want you to think back to when we talked about the different parts of a fraction. We said that the denominator represents the total amount of parts in the whole, and the numerator represents the amount of parts that we have, okay? But you're probably thinking 1/3, we don't have 3 parts here. This isn't like a pizza pie where you could just cut it into 3 equal parts, but actually you can. So if I have 24 juice boxes, can I take 24 and divide it into 3 parts? I want you to think about that for a moment. How can I take 24 items, 24 juice boxes, and break it into groups of 3? Okay, so we have our 24 items, our 24 juice boxes, and I asked you guys to think about how can we take 24 things and make it into 3 parts, into 3 equal groups. So the way you can do that is just by taking the 24 and splitting it into 3 equal groups, kind of like thinking 24 divided by 3. So that would mean that there would be 8 juice boxes in each third. So that means I'm able to take 24 juice boxes and actually make thirds out of it just by dividing it into 3 equal groups. Now, that means here we have 1/3, and then we have another third, which gives me 2/3, and then we have another third, which gives me 3/3, which is equal to 1 whole. So since 1/3 of the drinks were grape, that means I'm going to look at one of these thirds and I'm going to count how many juice boxes are in that third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1/3 is equal to how many juice boxes? It's equal to 8 juice boxes in the flavor of grape. Now, the next quantity in the word problem says, and 2/3 were cranberry. So now we need to think about 2/3. What does that mean? What does 2/3 mean out of 24? So we spoke about how we took 24 and we broke it into thirds. Okay? So we have 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. So we know 1/3 is equal to 8. And we're left now with 2 of these thirds. So we are going to count to see how many juice boxes are in 2/3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 2/3 of those juices were cranberry, which means that that is equal to, forgive me here, 20. Forgive me, not 20, which is equal to 16 juice boxes that are cranberry. Now let's look at what the question was actually asking us to solve. So how many boxes of each flavor did Mr. Peterson have? So now we know that 1/3 was equal to 8, and we know that 2/3 was equal to 16. And if we combine these two numbers together, we have the total amount of juice boxes, which was 24.